nothing to lose. Now the lights gone dim, no more playing the fool. Simp hunters caught him, now they're back to school. Soy boys, what you gonna do when the simp hunters come and they're gonna for you? Soy boys, what you gonna do when the simp hunters come and they're gonna for you?
All simps are innocent until voted guilty by the chat.
Crockett. Vice, Miami.
Saying it's not on you. 8 years down the drain, but you acting like it's on. Yeah, you wanna deep flex when the heat's on. Wanna take a lady play gamers like a thought. You built the design, now it's crashing down. What's respected, lost the crowd. You could've fought, you could've owned it. Instead you ran and left it broken. Now you're hiding, you take the heat, but don't pretend it's on repeat. Why'd you have to go make it so complicated? You act like it's their fault when it's your choices that faded. You could've stood tall, but you played the blame game. Now everyone sees through your shame, but why'd you make it so complicated?
Wake up with a smile, Mr. Cider's on the dial. Rain cheer all day, he's the one who makes it sway.
It's the air with style, morning radio wild. Cider's voice so clear, fills the morning with good cheer.
Mr. Cider,
good morning, good morning.
Start your day with joy dawning. Wake up now, don't be late. Sun is rising, feeling great.
Coffee brews and toast is warm. Cider's voice is the daily norm. Smooth and sweet like apple pie, lifts us up and makes us fly.
Radio waves in the air, Mr. Cider always there. Tunes that make us dance around, Mr. C bringing that sound.
What a Monday. What a Monday. Get a load of this, all right? Congratulations, everybody out there who wanted Kitty Pryde to be bisexual, because I don't know anybody who asked for that, but there you go. There's your prize for Monday. She's gay now. Half gay, if you prefer. I understand from the gays and lesbians that nobody is impressed by this. Nobody is excited by this. This isn't a victory for anybody. And the straights might be interested because of the possibility of, lesbo stuff, because, I don't know, some guys are into that stuff. But Kitty Pryde being bisexual is one of the top-end dumbest moves they could make right now, really. When you consider at the bottom end of what this character is, right, and I'm not trying to stress her butt, I'm just trying to say, like, the bottom end of this character, she's Colossus's girlfriend, and Colossus is a Russian citizen that defected. Right now, where we're having so much happy fun time with Russia over there in the not Ukraine, right? Probably ought to be telling stories about a defected Russian and an American girl kind of getting along and learning about their countries, their mutual interests between each other. But not Marvel. Nope. Gotta let everybody know she kisses girls, because that's how we sell things now. We sell things by telling everybody how people have sex. That's right. Welcome to Monday. Welcome to Monday. We have Hanover Fissier says, good morning. It's 3 in the afternoon here. Well, hey, over there in Eurotown, you guys are having a lot of fun, I understand it. Not only is your entertainment upside down, but you got to put up with Ubisoft being on the same continent as you. Ugh. I mean, we had to deal with, like, their subsidiary, the Quebec one. And I don't know, French-Canadians, they're a different breed of French if you haven't met them. So I don't know which is worse, either the French-Canadian Ubisoft or the totally French Ubisoft. I'm not sure. But, yeah, if you're just tuning in, you're reading that headline correct in the Exceptional X-Men. You remember what exceptional means out here in the Internetville. But, yep, Marvel Comics debuts bisexual Kitty Pryde. So congratulations to the gays out there. Congratulations. Warm round of applause that I'm not going to bother to give you. I don't know. How do you guys feel about this? Do you think this is smart? I don't think this is smart. I don't agree with the shifting of this attitude with the character. As I said, I think it would be a good idea to have her pairing up with Colossus, especially right now. There are so many things you can talk about with Putin is the thing. We don't need to get into geopolitics here, right? But consider the guy's been around, like, I don't know, since black and white film was standard. So, like, a while, okay? So the situation with him is that, like, there's a lot of stuff you can work into, like, the stories outside your window attitude that Marvel has. It's not like this is some kind of mystery when we have to figure out how to, like, what do we write about Kitty Pryde? Well, right now, it would be really cool if we had an all-American girl that was listening and informing Colossus, a recently defected Russian citizen, about America and how it's not as spooky as Putin's Russia likes to present it, and how Russia isn't as spooky on the ground level as America presents it. Wouldn't that be nice to kind of dial down the tension with people that want to call for nuking Moscow right now, and likewise Moscow calling to nuke DC? Wouldn't that be the story outside your window that good old Stan would trying to be telling right now, trying to appeal to people in the middle, saying, hey, guess what? We're all human. Our leaders are crazy, but the taxpayers tend not to be. I don't know. I'm out on a limb, I guess. You know what I mean? You got to make Kitty Pryde gay now to make her interesting to Zoomers. You can't have the character talking about the issues that affect them, I don't know. It's weird. We got David Stahl here, and he says, glad you're here. Keep up the good work. Hey, man, we're here all the time. By the way, we've uploaded some music over to Bounding Radio. That's a playlist right here on this channel. You want to zap back over to the channel page, you can take a look at that by clicking the playlist tab, and it is the most recent updated one, so you see it right there. We got a song about Assassin's Creed Shadows right now. It's called Fade So Fast, and we have Concord Spirits. If you were here at the beginning, too, you heard Blame Game. That'll be in today's video that we release a little later today, as well as being uploaded on Saturday to the Bounding Radio in its full length. That's right. It's not just a video length that we make. Here we go. The full length of the song for you. That's right. Bounding into gaming, you might say. Bounding into gaming. Rocky the Black Dragon here, and he says, hey, everyone. Good morning. Hello to you. We have Leet Mibi. He says, hi there. Well, howdy. Welcome aboard. And 53 days until Halloween. You're absolutely right. Get out your Halloween decorations while you can. And if you don't have them, probably head over to Amazon while you can still get a deal on them. I know that my local grocery store, they just started selling pumpkins, so pretty excited about that. Guys, you're gonna have to tell me if the mic is a little punchy. I've done a little things to try and soften it, but I can't tell how StreamYard is treating it. I don't have the ability to like go on the other side of StreamYard and listen at the same time without like creating that weird echo chamber thing that rips reality in half, like dividing by 0. So, but if you're just joining us and wondering what we're looking at, here it is right here. Marvel Comics confirms Kitty Pryde is bisexual. That's right. And so there you go. There's the magic of Monday for you, delivering that right straight into your face, or bisexually into your face if you prefer. Like I said earlier, and I'll stress again, I think it would be a great time to tell stories about Colossus and Kitty Pryde getting along. That's just me, though. I just think it would be a good time to kind of dispel a lot of the freaky deaky going on between Russia and the United States, and they've always been a good vehicle for it. But in either case, we also have an update about Dustborn, as we have the recent dust up, if you will, with Dustborn here. We have Dustborn developer Red Thread Games whines about tidal wave of hate, and abuse amid criticism. Quote, "We have zero tolerance for hate speech, harassment, and threats of any kind. You also have zero tolerance for fun and engaging gameplay." I don't know if you guys have been watching this or not, but over on Madam Savvy's channel, I'll put a link in the description after the show. Madam Savvy's channel, she has been enduring, that'd be a good word, enduring Dustborn for us all, so that we can get through it and find out what's inside. As Nancy Pelosi said, we can't know what's inside the bill until we pass it, right? And we can't know what's inside Dustborn until Madam Savvy finishes it, right, for us, because there's no way in hell I'm subjecting myself to that. I want to live, I think it's kind of like waterboarding. I think if you want answers out of terrorists, you ought to make them play Dustborn, like they have to every morning. It's that or the bucket of cold water, right? So, I don't know. Like, I often wonder, too, like, do they waterboard their butts? Like, I'm sure that must be equally as, like, mind-breaking as having, like, a drip of water running between your butt cheeks. But you can't stop it because you're strapped down, and it's just there. And you can't take care of that. It's just a wet butt cheek, wet butt crack. That's a form of torture, right? You got to play Dustborn at the same time, like your fingers, you duct tape to the controller. Oh, yeah. Yeah, take notes, CIA. Take notes, all right? Take notes. I know what I'm talking about. I know torture. Wet butts and Dustborn. That's getting clipped. But Leet Meeby says, blame game, let me guess, it's the fault of the white male cisgender gamer. A little bit. I'll play this song again when we get into the Concord designer conversation here in a minute here. I want to make sure people have time to get the notification and come in to hear about this, because this is ridiculous. Like, this is a little preview. You know how people will, like, update a character design randomly? One of my favorites is that people will take a Digimon and they will combine it with the Kamen Rider armor motif. So they will turn a Digimon into a Kamen Rider. And that's a very cool idea, in my opinion. Well, people who heard about Concord, I'm not saying they're fans, people who heard about Concord decided to do this. And we have a few examples of how that redesign thing turned out, but apparently the lead designer on Concord was incredibly upset and wrote pretty much a novel in response to some guy that just made, the one that looks like an oven. That doesn't narrow it down. You'll see it. You'll see it. Anyway, we'll move on. But Rocky the Black Dragon says, I'm a black cis gamer with diversity of thought. Yeah, you're dangerous. You're one of those people that they call all sorts of names because you don't conform to the thought plantation. Yeah. Welcome to the rebellion. Did you think it was going to be this easy where you didn't have to even try? Like, to rebel against the man, you just had to be normal. You didn't really have to stress your brain out trying to figure out how to thwart their plans. They're just so inept, you just wait for them to fall apart. Like, 8 years went into Concord. The Norwegian government, Norwegia, can you believe that? The Norwegian government, the Norwegians, funded this, the Dustborn game, because they thought there was market potential in a bully your friends simulator, in like a SJW training simulator. You know how they have like plane simulators, where they've got the old, I got a sound clip for it here. The old pull up,
Pull up. Pull up.
You know, that's kind of what but in Dustborn, it's just teaching you how to cancel people. And it even explains the thought process behind doing this. We'll do a whole breakdown about it, okay? If you guys want to see that, let us know about that. If you're watching in the replay, let us know in the comments. Let us know in the chat if you're here live. If you want to see us do like a whole Dustborn breakdown, because we got 01, that's our live stream on Wednesdays. We'll definitely break out and the norm and just do a Dustborn dedicated episode, because Concord overshadowed it, because Concord is just an enormous failure, and it keeps failing. You know, I don't know if you like remember this from Naruto, but Madara summoned 2 comets on top of each other. Like, bang, one was stopped and the second one came down and crushed the first one. That's kind of what happened with Concord, is that at first it got canceled, and then like everybody involved in the game decided to like Sudoku themselves, and that like one by one they're all coming out and obliterating their careers. It's amazing. I'm absolutely beside myself with the state of this. But yeah, let us know if you want us to do a Dustborn dedicated stream. We'll go over this. We'll explain it all. And I'll even go as far as looking up the definitions of these psychological disorders that are championed in the game, okay? So we'll do a one-to-one comparison about the brain, the mental illness required to be the good guy in Dustborn, okay? It's really a tragedy that this game got overshadowed by Concord. As funny as Concord is, this is the bigger, I don't know, dud, the bigger dookie, if you will. I'm not really sure, but it's amazing. But that's what we're looking at here with Dustborn. So I've got to remind you guys, too, the harassment and all this other stuff is coming from outside the game, because there's like 23 people playing it. One of them is Savvy. So, I mean, it's not like the game environment itself has been like toxified, as they like to say. It's just people commentating that it sucks, and that for some reason, have you noticed this Vitiligo? Where's that character that's covered in vitiligo? Sorry, vitiligo. But I get it wrong, and I'm not trying to be funny. I just can't remember. Yeah, this. What is this obsession with this? Like, how many people are actually walking around afflicted with this? It's not that we need like a one-to-one, like however many millions of people need to be per capita down into video games. I'm just wondering, like, are there that many people that suffer with this skin situation, the different blotchy pigment situation, that we need to put them in like every video game now? It's, again, I'm not questioning their existence. What are we doing? What is this fetish with this skin situation? I don't know. It really bothers me, because like when I was growing up, we weren't supposed to fixate on what people looked like. I'm one of those late millennials. I showed up in 89 and, came to prominence in 2008 when I graduated. So I was that prime screw with No Child Left Behind kind of like space where they did all their globalist programming stuff. I retain to this day that the millennials are kind of Winter Soldier, that there's 7 magic words that brainwash us in the most like left of center thinking. But really, this bothers me because it fixates so much on the physical representation of somebody and not their experience, I guess. When I was growing up, we were taught that the experience of an individual matters. It's why it bothers me that Yasuke in Assassin's Creed Shadows has a hip-hop soundtrack playing behind him when he smashes the heads of Japanese historical figures. He predates America, so what the hell? Why does he have a hip-hop soundtrack? Every black person on Earth relates to hip-hop now? Is that what we're doing? And when I was growing up, that was the peak of racism, was to assume every black person ever related to rap music, related to American black culture. That was the typifying point of racism. No matter what, no magic word you could say that starts with an N could be as offensive as assuming that every person with a darker skin tone than yours was into a specific style of music and or lifestyle. And yet here we are, like we're trying to package people like this. And I don't get it. I really don't. I want to go back to when people were just people. Do you remember that? There was like a split second there in the year 1999 to the year 2003 where we were all headed to the stars in like these weird chrome bubble things that didn't obey any engineering sense whatsoever. But we were all together. Didn't matter what you looked like, didn't matter where you came from. We were all wearing chrome. We were riding around in chrome and we were headed to space in chrome space, you know? I remember that. And I wanted that. I wanted that future where we were just out there doing stuff. We were just done having a problem with each other. But then, you know, then the boomers stepped in. We're like, I can't have that. We can't have that. And thus, we got things like Sweet Baby Inc., right? We got the genius of Sweet Baby Inc. born out of the way to monetize division. That's right. You live in an era where monetizing division is better than creating something that unifies people. Now, I'm not talking about unifying people as in like the Dustborn thing where you got to like explain everybody's racial background before you can even say hello to them, you know, all your pronouns and stuff. I'm talking like Star Trek. I'm talking like stuff like Star Wars, stuff like Toy Story, stuff like Cars, stuff like Mortal Kombat, stuff like the original Assassin's Creed, stuff like Horizon Zero Dawn, stuff that everybody everywhere pretty much liked, had like an 80%, yeah, that's kind of cool opinion of. Didn't matter where you came from, mostly didn't matter what language you spoke, provided there was a translation of the media for you. But yet they want to make this stuff that deliberately points out everybody involved as being different from one another, walled off in their own sacred way. And so this is what we've got. It's part of the greater movement towards a lot of very right thinking, right? The critics, they're saying everybody out here that doesn't like what they're doing is some, you know, Yahtzee lunatic that's all funny mustache guy. You know, they're all in favor of funny mustache guy. You know who I'm talking about. There's only one funny mustache guy that I would be talking about in this scenario. You know who I'm talking about. And that's what we're looking at here is that these people, we're back to the whole thing again. They learned that calling you a Yahtzee isn't going to work anymore. They burned that word out too fast. So now they got to call you far right because it sounds spooky. It sounds like Red Threat. It sounds like Pinko Kami. It sounds like something you can box up and make spooky. You don't have to define. It's nebulous enough. When you call somebody a Yahtzee, you expect them to have a German accent and a funny helmet and typically a weird way of walking. But you call somebody far right, and it's just nebulous enough, you get a picture of an angry, bald, white guy. And that's why they do that. That's why they do that. That's why they're out here trying to target that deliberate idea that it's not any legitimate criticism. It's just people that don't like things that aren't bald and white. As if that was ever a qualifier. It's amazing to me that these people want to declare that we are living in an era where there's an unprecedented amount of diversity in media. When I was growing up, like I said earlier, everybody everywhere was dressed in chrome and they were all going to space together. Even the shoe models had the weird chrome band sunglasses. You remember that? They didn't have they had like a little nose bump in them, but they didn't have any defined eye circly things. They were just like straight up reflector chrome, full reflector band things. And they had like chrome shoes and stuff. Like everybody was happy and together and going to space in chrome bubbles. And now they're telling us that the most divisive era in American history, I'm going to tell you that because it's way more divisive than the 60s ever were. You got to remember, in the 60s, there were a bunch of people that were against that thing and there were a bunch of people for that thing. Now they're intermingled. They're neighbors. There used to be defined lines between these people, but now there isn't, thanks to agencies like Sweet Baby Inc., Take This, and so many others that try to define people as like sacred individuals from one another rather than admitting we're all Americans. We all love being an American. I don't know about you. If you're an Australian, love being an Australian. If you're a German, love being a German. Just not that much, you know, just dial it back from 11 down to 10. How about that, okay? As Americans, we need to dial it back from 15 down to 10, right? We need to dial it back a little bit. If you're a Canadian, please, for the love of God, be proud of Canada. Find something. If it's just the Beavers, please be proud of Canada. Don't let these dorks come in and tell us what to believe about one another. Don't let these dorks come in and put walls between us that don't exist. These hyper-categorized little teeny tiny lists of who you are that fit into the Twitter bios. Okay? Don't do that. Don't do that. Don't fall for this. You know better already. But this is what they're trying to force. It's what they're trying to like. When we're out here saying that you, loving your country, loving your people, loving your culture, are a far-right thinker, a very far-right thinker, we've now made it more possible to isolate people on an individualist level from one another. And I don't know about you, but we have study after study right now that tell us that most young men don't have close friends in real life. And I'm talking about young men as in like probably my age group and under. So like 35, 40 under, you know, down to like teenagers. They don't have close friends in meat space. And it's because of this stuff. It's because of this stuff that forces people to look at one another as sacred individuals rather than saying, hey, you're a fellow countryman. Let's find our commonalities based upon this. It used to work like that. It used to be great, too, because we used to meet each other. Did you know that Nixon and Gorbachev stood in the American exhibit in Moscow, by the way, in the 60s, and they debated the merits of communism and capitalism? Nobody shot each other. Nobody nuked anything. Nobody tried to, well, they may have tried to poison one another, but they weren't successful. Let's put it that way. It used to be that you could be a proud American, you could be a proud Soviet, you could meet in the middle and debate the merit of your ideas and then enjoy a cold Pepsi afterwards. But not anymore. Not anymore thanks to these dorks right here. And it just keeps pouring out. It just keeps pouring out. But we'll go back to the chat here and check out you guys. Let's see what's going up. And it says, actually, I knew someone that had a disorder about 26 years ago. And I never met, she was the only one I ever met with that skin disorder. Yeah, I'm not saying it wrong on purpose. I think it's vitiligo. I'm not sure. I'm really not trying to say it wrong. But yeah, it's so bizarre that almost every SJW, DEI infested video game has this person with that skin disorder right there. Not your particular friend, but like this particular disorder with the flesh going on. It's really a strange fetish, I think. It's the only thing I can explain is that they have like some weird sexual tie to it, you know? I can't... in video games, you can explain big boobs, big butts, abs, and big shoulders on guys, you know, not boobs on guys, obviously, but like big shoulders. You know, you can explain the John Spartan, you know, kind of look. But what are they going with the patchy skin stuff? And that's not wrong, and I'm not trying to make fun of somebody, but it just seems very strange that they just keep stuffing the games full of this. Did they expect a lot of people in the future to have this problem? Did they know something we don't know? Makes me a little worried. Since they made the game for these specific audiences, they can have it. It's true. It's true. Sweet Baby Inc. and Dustborn and all these other jerk-offs, Concord, they can have it. We saw what happens when you appeal to the modern audience. A whole busload of them shows up. And by busload, I mean 35. Yeah. Might be the short bus, too. Yeah, nothing against people who ride the short bus, because quite obviously, they didn't buy the game either. New Hope says, 45 years old, I've seen a grand total of one person with vitiligo, I'm not trying to say it wrong. But yeah, it's true. Again, I don't get what the fixation is. It's very strange. It's strange. They hate white, but overrepresent dark skin with depigmentation. It's true. I mean, it's very strange that they want to do this. Like, I think the Acolyte was probably the most guilty of this. Like, they want to talk about whitewashing. But what are they doing by stuffing all these characters in here with all these different racial representations and then just making them talk like Obi-Wan? I get it. It's a galaxy far, far away, but Samuel L. Jackson had an incredibly distinct way of speaking. He did not even have a mid-Atlantic accent. He didn't have any British about him. He didn't have that weird, quizzical, nasally thing about it. He was like, I need these Sith out this motherfucking temple, you know? He wasn't anything like attempting to be regal. He was attempting to be calm and collected. That was how I read Mace Windu, was a guy that was like very under control of his emotions. until until they got force lightning. They didn't piss off anybody, but I don't understand where this fixation of like Britishifying everybody in Star Wars came from, but who knows? It's Disney, right? It's Disney. Yeah, all is chrome. Yep, Scooby Doo's is here. Says all is chrome. You remember that future where everything was like bubbly and chromy, and we were just headed off into the future together. We were all happy, Wex remembers. It was a great time. It was a great time. We do have Leet Maybe here, and I am from France. I am old, and I learned racism is when you judge a person is skin by their skin color. That's correct. Yep. Now it seems I am racist because I don't judge people on skin color. Yeah, it's a bizarre twist, isn't it? A long time ago, when Glenn Beck wasn't selling fried chicken for Jesus, it was about, liquid will be solid, solid will be liquid, up will be down, down will be up, left will be right, yes will be no, racism will be not racism will be racism. And again, this is a tenet of Marxism. If you're familiar with the color revolution in China, this is exactly what they did. They turned language inside out on these people and then beat to death anybody who had anything to say otherwise. I'm going to pronounce this wrong. I think it's Ozzier. Ozzier here is saying, we even had Black American try to start up a BLM chapter in Australia. The indigenous folk didn't particularly care for it. It failed. It's true. It's true. I recently saw a video of vacationing Black Americans trying to BLM a statue of a saint in Italy. And I was absolutely beside myself with like, what am I looking at? What did the Italians have to do with George Floyd? What did the Italians have to do with American police brutality? I mean, if you're going to go after anybody outside of the U.S., go after the Irish, right? You remember the Irish in the cartoons? It was always the police that were the Irish. I think that's where Guy Gardner came from, as he was sort of a parody of the Irish cop trope in entertainment. The original Commissioner Gordon was as Irish as, no, it wasn't Commissioner Gordon. It was, I don't remember the police officer in the 1966 Batman now. That's a tragedy. Anyway, Ozzy says, far right is a compliment nowadays, and I'm a neoliberal, if anything. It's true. It's true. I mean, if you get called, like, not part of the herd, it's kind of a blessing to not be part of the herd. As an American, we enjoy this, not being part of the herd, but I think there's a lot of people that conform thinking they're being separate, you know what I mean? Scooby-Doo is talking about the chrome future. Yeah, that's right, with SpongeBob, where they were spray painting everything that popped out of the ground chrome, the chrome future. Yeah. I remember it. It was just such a serene time. And I know I have like, little kid glasses about it because I think I was like 13 when that aesthetic died off. So, but it was just such an amazing time to think that we wouldn't be plagued by the divisions of like communism, of skin color, of religious or ethnic background. We were just going to be people going off into space, doing crazy chrome space things forever. It wasn't going to go bad. We were just going to be cool forever. What a time. What a time. But, yeah, well, the Pepsi thing, if you don't know, you remember, like, Russia couldn't afford to buy Pepsi in a new contract from them. They got a second contract from them in the 80s. So they gave them a bunch of submarines and Navy frigates and, the ships that have missiles on them, in exchange for Pepsi's continued, distribution in Russia. And so the joke is that when Nixon was visiting in the 60s, Pepsi, of course, was the singular American soda brand in Russia, so it was the beverage of choice at their meeting. So it's just kind of funny to me that we American brands end up being a bridge between cultures constantly, and not our politics. It's the brands that seem to be able to reach through. But Ozzy says far right will become yet another washed out term. When I hear somebody labeled it, I think they're very likely just a normal person that the woke dislike. It's true. When you hear somebody being shouted down as far right, they're usually people that don't want other people sitting in the middle of traffic blocking it on behalf of some semi-extinct minnow out there in the world. Yeah, we'll sit in the middle of traffic to stop a minnow from going extinct, but not babies. We can't stop that. you know, late term abortion. We can't sit in the middle of the street to stop that. But those little minnows in some puddle somewhere in the Amazon, we got to sit in the middle of the street to stop traffic on their behalf. You bet. You bet. It makes perfect sense when you're brain damaged. It makes perfect sense. And Matthew Godet's here, and he says, politics is meaningless when anyone who goes against the prevailing narrative is on a list for alt-right, even if they are a leftist or lean left. Well, this is the crazy thing that I learned, is that there's Take This. We did a video about this a little earlier this year. Take This is a Sweet Baby Inc.-like game that advises video games on not triggering people's mental illnesses. Now, I need a drink, so we're just going to take a quick little break here because I get a little self-conscious about tipping things toward my mouth when people can take screenshots of me. So, just a second.
All right, all right, all right. Okay, okay, okay. All right, all right, all right.
All right, that's enough of that. But the thing is that we found out that Take This was funded by the Department of Homeland Security to monitor gamer activity for terrorist activity. That's right. So Take This was endowed with a special task of monitoring like voice chats, discords, just regular old text game chats, Twitter conversations regarding games like Fortnite, Call of Duty, shooters, basically. Pardon me. And we found out that they were reporting back to Department of Homeland Security about that. Really. And now they're going out of business, so that's really great. We got a story about it over on Bounding. I don't have it pulled up at the moment, but yeah, that's real. That's actually happening. But yeah, so people, they're actually, these Sweet Baby Inc. organizations do exist to corrupt these games and also tattle on you, to help form a list of people that, like you say here, they may just oppose the woke. That might just be it. That's all that might be to their complaint, is that they're just not down with labeling people by their skin color. They might not be down with stopping traffic for a minnow in a puddle in the Amazon. And yet they find their way onto a list of domestic terrorists on the Department of Homeland Security's computers. All right? That's real. That's actually happening. That's a story over on Bounding. You use the search bar to check it out. You got to sit through an ad for a couple seconds, so make sure your ad blocker's off and that big old brick at the top will disappear for you. I've got it on good authority. So, yeah, music as well. Music is another one that has been corrupted through and through. And if you have anything negative to say about music, how it works right now, you are immediately dustbinned as a racist, phobe, whatever they can think of to label you as. Absolutely. And you go try to listen to music these days. It is, I'm not one of those guys that's satanic panic, but I think one of the rappers tweeted this a couple of months ago, and he says, you know, you wonder why we don't sing love songs about women anymore. Y'all became a bunch of hoes. Why would we sing songs about you? Ain't nobody singing to you, or something like that, you know? And that kind of struck me, you know, it kind of burned its way into my brain because I was like, you're right. I spent an awfully long time since I've heard a legit love song that wasn't talking about like chasing after a woman that either didn't have time for him or was just another conquest, right? Another bed buddy, if you prefer. So, and that's what music's evolved down to. I mean, we put music up here on Bounding Radio. It's usually like parody music about the topics we have on, but I try to make stuff that is interesting. If you're wondering, it is AI. We don't have a band. We don't go to Fiverr and hire a bunch of musicians. It's AI. It's a little painstaking, but it's not difficult. Songs come together within about 20 minutes or so. It doesn't take me very long. I stitch them together in the editor that's built into Suno. That's the platform I use. And we just put them up here. They're not copyright protected. If you want to download them and put them in music videos and make your own jokes about Concord or relevant things to what the lyrics are talking about, because I try not to make them too pointed. I learned this lesson from Mr. Mediker when he said, try to make your merch something that people can walk around wearing. So I try to apply that with the music that we create here for Bounding Radio, that it does talk about the game a little bit, but it mostly focuses on the behaviors of what's going on. So that way the song is about that rather than trademarks and brands and things that you just got to explain to people if they want to know what the hell the song is about. So again, it's a lot of psychology that just a lot of people don't put into music anymore. They just try to put a fat beat to, I don't know, something about sex, usually, or something about the oppressed, whoever the oppressed are this week. That's right. We got here Matthew Goddard. He says, I mean, YouTube creators are on a list on Reddit, make like modern McCarthyism. Many of them are not right-wing or Republicans. They only dislike Disney Star Wars. Yeah, that's true. That happens all the time now. Reddit is especially a place that curates this stuff. It's quite bizarre how obsessed other people have become with the opinions, not even actions. We didn't do anything to Acolyte. We talked about it. That's it. Nobody showed up at Amanda Stenberg's place. Nobody showed up at Disney. Nobody picketed. There wasn't anybody sitting on the streets of Disney World trying to make sure that nobody could enjoy the park on behalf of canceling the Acolyte. Nobody formed like one of those Red Rover lines, linked arm lines in front of Galaxy's Edge to prevent people from going there. It was just people saying this is awful. And that was the greatest sin committed against a woman ever. Ever. Blows my mind. Blows my mind. But Pat Starr is here, and he says, Marco Rubio, when he took that sip of water on TV, ruined his presidential aspirations. See, that's why, you know? And then you got Obama just like full on, like, you know, I can't say the word on YouTube, but you know what I mean. He's like unhinged his jaw, taking in that hot dog. You got Michelle staring at him in the distance there. Like, man, just don't get caught on camera putting things in your mouth. Just don't do that. Just don't do it. It's not good. It's not good. But speaking of things that aren't good, right? We'll move on with the news here. We've talked about this mess enough. We do have some good news. Just a shred of good news, okay? It's an absolute shred of it. But here we go. As players get tired of activism in games, GameStop announces plans to bring back retro titles and consoles. So, if you aren't aware, there is a massive market right now of indie games that are made for old consoles. That's right, you can go on the internet right now and download these things, or you can go to the websites and buy hard copies of these. They even come in the Nintendo cartridges. I'm not even kidding you. Full-on Nintendo cartridges that contain games made in the last 10 years or sooner. Made in the last year even. There's tons of them that are available right now. And so this is what GameStop is leaning into, is this retro revival where we're not talking about, like, I would say, you know, vitiligo. We're not talking about how to cancel people. We're not talking about bullying our friends into believing our political ideologies. We're playing Soul Calibur. We're playing Daytona USA with quite possibly the most iconic and annoying theme song in the Sega Genesis line. And of course, little old Sonic there, tucked behind the controller as if he doesn't matter, right? He's hiding, waiting for his time. And that is what's coming here. So we'll scroll down, take a look at what they're offering here. So this is the revival list, okay? You have the Nintendo Entertainment System they're bringing games back for. The Super Nintendo, the Game Boy Advance, the regular Game Boy, all right? This is the ye olde Game Boy. Nintendo 64. Now, I don't know about you, but right now you can go on to Amazon right now and you can buy one of these for, I think, $120. Just a regular old refurbished N64. No glitz and glam, might even just be the straight flat black that it came in off the shelf. So you can get a hold of these things, especially for these games that they're most likely refurbishing. I'm not sure that they have gone straight up and partnered with these indie devs yet. But what I'm telling you is that you can get some old games and some new games together. Nintendo DS, as you know, recently the DS servers were shut down. The GameCube especially, those are hard to come by. Not particularly because they're a fantastic machine, but because they apparently didn't sell very well, or at least people didn't hang on to them. They found their way into the landfill or something. But boy, howdy, is there a ferocious market around the GameCube these days. Could be nostalgia, too. The original Xbox, there'll be games coming back for that, too. We have the PlayStation 2. Now, I bring that up because the PlayStation 2, I believe, was the strongest PlayStation era of the entire franchise. I don't believe they have ever had a better presentation than what happened with PlayStation 2. PlayStation 3 was neat and all, had that neat Spider-Man font on it, looked like a giant old, looked like one of those George Foreman grills, had a nice strip of chrome on it, real fancy, could stand it up, sit it on the side, whatever you wanted to do. But I think the PlayStation 2 had like the best games for the PlayStation that were put out, as well as just like the best functionality. There wasn't a lot of like lag. There wasn't a lot of like clipping. You didn't end up with a lot of failure in the gameplay that you do now with all the overblown systems we have. And then of course, guys, the Sega Saturn, right? Who doesn't love the Sega Saturn? Now, of course, if you're not familiar, there is a website called Sendico. If you go onto Google and search Sendico, it is a Japanese Craigslist, eBay aggregator website. So it provides you lists from like Mercari and YouTube and Yahoo listings and things like that, eBay listings that are in Japanese that are translated over into English. And you can purchase this stuff like real deal Japanese domestic market Sega Saturn and have it come over here to the US. You could do it. It's possible. So just to let you know, there is good news on the horizon. There is a little bit of good news there out in the world. And I don't know. I think it's I'm going to say that I think that it's a good move because as much as I'd like to see new games come out that like have the spirit and capability and challenge of these Sega era games, early Nintendo, early Xbox games, I don't think that the modern gaming developing market in the West and maybe in Japan too, maybe Korea, possess the, I don't know about talent, but I would say drive, right? I would say drive to do this. China definitely does. They demonstrated that with Black Myth Wukong, and that plays like a Souls game. That is just Elden Ring with Monkey Man, and it works. It works. So that's why I don't believe it's a good idea for like pushing these game devs to do anything new. Just let the studios die off and new things will be born out of it that embrace this idea, that embrace these kind of concepts. We saw that with Astrobot. So GameStop finally found something to save their dying brand. Impossible. Yeah, you're right. You're right. They found it. Yep. Yeah, Soul Calibur, right? Going way back to the originals. You remember original Soul Calibur before it got all freaky deaky with all that stuff? Remember original Nightmare? Yeah, I had nightmares. That was scary, man. When that eyeball opened up on the sword, that scared me. That scared me. I was one of those kids that just got freaked out by that stuff. Like, there's a giant eyeball, the sword. And yeah, the glizzy gobbler. Yeah, yeah. Good. I need a PS2 and SNES. Yeah, well, they're going to help you out. Either they'll be reproductions or refurbished ones. So they apparently found a landfill full of these things or something, like a whole warehouse somebody forgot about somewhere, maybe. I don't know. That's a fantasy. I have no idea where they got the idea to do this stuff. So yeah, I'm sick of the inflated eBay prices. Well, this is probably going to kick it in the knees. Having this stuff available out on the market will probably make it impossible to jack up your private collection prices. So you might be able to nail some stuff that has the console and the whole library with it. Now that would be pretty neat. So you don't have to go on like the collector's hunt. You just buy a whole big pile of library of games and go back to 1990 whatever, you know? If Oz, you're here, this is the backlog of games that were great, but didn't interest me at the time is huge. This is great, great deal of them too. Yeah, and that's we are entering an age right now where old stuff is superior to new stuff. It's global, just about everywhere in the world. I mean, I hear people talking about the Zune again. You remember the Zune? But there are people that want this because it was a reliable piece of technology. It just didn't take off. So it's this strange retro revival of early 2000s tech and culture. And it's really because I think it's because what we have now is like a sugar rush culture. You have like 5 years of like an aesthetic, like an 80s aesthetic, a 90s aesthetic, a 70s aesthetic. You have like 5 years of that lasting, and then it burns off and we're off to the next thing. People are kind of exhausted by it, so they're defaulting back to, I don't know, nostalgia for the millennials, but for like the Zoomers, this is a whole new territory for them. They weren't like conscious or alive in some cases to enjoy this stuff. So yeah, I still have my GameCube as well. Yeah, mine was the purple one, the iconic purple one. I liked that a lot. I liked the commercial for it. The bright colors were neat and all, but I always felt that like the purple one was the strongest, you know. Apparently so did Nintendo. We have Ye Old Millennial. Yeah, we're getting there, aren't we? We're getting there, aren't we? This move makes sense for GameStop, but they are going to have to offer competitive prices compared to the brick and mortar stores that already do this, as well as the guys that go to cons. Those guys at cons have great deals. Some of the stuff is pretty exaggerated, but when you really get down to it, it's pretty rare stuff, so it does deserve it, but I don't know. Like I said, I don't know if these are reproductions or refurbished. You know, they haven't come out clearly with what they're up to yet. Just announced that where they're going to be bringing stuff back. So, yeah. So we have Matthew Godet. Working GameCube games that aren't unplayable is a miracle, though. That's true. That's true. I had the Wolverine game that had the Wendigo in it, and I had the Zoids game. I really liked the Zoids game on GameCube. That was my jam. That was my jam. Nina says, get the entire catalog of every Ratchet and Clank series. That's true. You can now play every Ratchet and Clank series on a relatively fresh system. How about that, huh? How about that? That's pretty cool. Scooby-Doo says, I do need to find me a Saturn. I don't got one. Well, Sendico can help you with that. It will be Japanese coded, though, so do with that what you will, but I'm pretty sure by now there's a way to jailbreak your Saturn, if you will. If you will. Sendico with a C. Sendico. And I do recommend it. You can even get some clothing from there, but it's what you'd expect, though. It's just American clothing that's sized for Japanese. Occasionally, you'll find a shirt that has like Coca-Cola on it, and then the Japanese text of what that is, like on top of the Coke and below the cola. Occasionally, but most of it's just American merch that, you know, full English and stuff like that. They don't have like the stylized shirts that have Japanese text all over it. I assume because the Japanese just aren't as arrogant as we are, so they don't like plaster statements about their personality on their chest and walk around, you know? It's a different culture. They don't feel the need to do that, probably. It's a different culture. I don't know. But the ye oldie millennial says, yeah, JP Saturns are cheaper, but it's a wash when you consider the shipping. It's true, but again, you now have a conversation item. It's not just a Sega Saturn, it's a Japanese domestic market Sega Saturn. I don't know, man. The ladies and the Saturns. The ladies and the Saturns. I'm just saying. Look into it. I remember the old PS game, Parasite Eve. I loved this one back in the day, but sometime I have the impression I am the only one to know this game. I recall the name, but I didn't get into it as hard as you did, but I do recall the name Parasite Eve. And apparently Pat Starr did play Parasite Eve too, so you're not alone. You're not alone. Pat's here and he knows what's up. Matthew Godet says, was really happy when my Chrono Trigger worked. Wish my console that played imports hadn't died, though at least half my games are Japanese PS1. Great. That is like top culture right there. I'd put that on my business card. If you could figure out how to like narrow that down into like a business card thing, I'd put that on your business card, man. Matthew Godet. At least half my games are Japanese PS1. You know, like some way of saying that isn't so wordy, but that's impressive. That is impressive. That's a man of culture right there, ladies, if you're watching. That's a man of culture right there. We do have Minkata Hizuru here. It says, ahoy, everyone. Eat healthy and work out. That's right. You're absolutely right. That's the best thing in all this, too, is that the retro gaming allowed you to get frustrated enough and didn't give you save points most of the time. So if you screwed up, you had to go all the way back to 0. So that does inspire you to go outside and get some fresh air after a while. So after a day of streaming at your television, go ahead and go on outside and have a walk. No need to touch the grass. It's not that kind of place around here. We don't do that here. We don't do that here. But Pat Star says, I have Metal Gear Solid remake for the Whoa. That's impressive. Like, do you have that framed? Like, get that framed. You have the case for it still. Get that framed. That's like, that's something to tell your grandkids about right there, you know? If Wex says, I live in Finland. Years ago, my local GameStop store manager tried to buy my PS3 that supported PS1 and 2 games. He would have paid 400 euros for it. Wow. If that was years ago, that is a lot of euros, by the way. It hasn't depreciated, you see. But that time. Still have that PS3. Never selling it. It's true. You really shouldn't. That's another thing you should keep around. Put it in a glass case or something, you know. Seal it up so that the oxygen can't get to it, you know, whatever. You tell your grandkids about that, you know. Because, again, they hate that. They hate that reverse capability. They hate that reverse capability in gaming now. They want you trapped on the current platform. I'm almost convinced that Samsung builds their phones to like die after 3 years. You get an update and it like seppukus itself. I don't know what the Korean equivalent of that is, but it like seppukus itself after it gets a certain update. I've had 4 Samsung phones that were working fine one day, and then bang, it got an update, and all of a sudden the charging was screwed up and it started overheating. But I'm one of those guys that hangs on to a phone for years on end, you know? I'm not one of those. Yeah, the reverse capability, meaning that long ago, gaming consoles used to be reverse capable, meaning you could play Nintendo Entertainment cartridges on a SNES. Long ago, you could play a PS3 console that had the ability to play PS1 and 2 games as well. It was long ago, back when, you know, gaming companies wanted to make games and entertain people rather than trap them into subscription plans. Long ago. Oh well. There is one more thing I want to jump into here before we get to the main event. I do want to bring your attention to the Dragon Ball Z Sparkling Zero situation, okay? A lot of people were looking forward to this. I have very bad news about the English version of it. They are putting Zoomer lingo right into at least one interaction between Majin Vegeta and Kid Trunks. So the most iconic lines of Vegeta's character before the Super series, before Super Brawly and stuff like that, the most iconic lines from Vegeta, now spoiled by Zoomer lingo. So there we go. Enjoy that. Just soak that in right there. And you're going to see more of it because the localizers don't care. Nerdigans, our resident anime investigator, investigatress, if you prefer. She is on top of this stuff with the localizers. There's one ringleader of them named Katrina something or other, one of those Ham Planet ladies. And she takes pride in spoiling this stuff and destroying the actual intent of the original creator with political agendas, the message, you know, that sort of thing, as well as just needless references to Zoomer stuff. One of them is a slice of life anime between 2 kids that are falling in love in high school, and they're awkward about it because it's anime, it's how it works. But they stuck references about Among Us in the middle of it, and this anime was made in like 2006. The kids are talking on flip phones, and they bring up Among Us. And it is, you know, I get the intent of like, oh, well, you know, we need to appeal to younger kids, but it's like, no, that's not how it works. You don't say their things and they go, aha, I will watch this now because it speaks my language. No, that's not how any timeless, long-lasting media works. That's how memes work. Yes, that's how memes work. But if we're turning memes into mainstream entertainment, into formal entertainment, and not just jokes, society's a lot worse off than we thought, right? You know, I think that's a bad idea. So Scooby-Doo share saying the dumbest thing ever. Yep, pretty dumb. We have Leet Mibby here. It says, hell, not the first time I hear this kind of problem with localizers. Yep, they keep doing it. Yep. Avasir here is hate slang being inserted. Not everyone speaks English, gets it. Plus, it dates the media poorly into the future. It's very true. Riz is not going to be something that stays around. I'm sorry. It's not the cool of language. Riz is not going to last. You know, brah is not going to last. Bro was something that showed up in for the Bill and Ted kind of characters in the 90s and the late 80s, and it faded away again. You know, dude comes and goes, you know, but Riz is not going to stay, you know. If Joseph Fazia saying, I love Lamp, that's a nice Anchorman reference way back in the day. That'll date you immediately if you bring that up. But yeah, why this? Why this? Dragon Ball already talks to everyone. It's true, but they have to leave their mark. I was told a long time ago that, see, I put out one whole comic, but I like to make stuff. I like to create stuff. But I was told by a guy that came from the industry that left it because it was poisonous. He explained to me that writers don't seek to actually adapt the media like Superman, Batman, Spider-Man. They seek to leave their mark on it. These stories exist. You don't need a writing team. They're storyboarded out in a comic book. And in a video game, it's quite literally the movie you want to make in cutscenes. So just cut out the gameplay and cast real people into the 3D stuff if you have to. I think it's very silly to bother doing all of that anyway. But the writers, I'm told, they don't write. They're not interested in adapting things. They're interested in telling their version of that character. And that's what the studios give them license to do. That's why you end up with adaptations like this. You end up with localizations like this, is because they're not here to tell the story of the character. They're not here to convey the story from Akira Toriyama, God rest his soul. They're here to tell their story through something that's popular and exists already. Remember, Tolkien said, oh, there they go. I'll have to do it again. A whole truckload of SJWs on their way. But you remember what Tolkien said, evil can't create, it can only corrupt. It can only corrupt. And that'll bring us into the main event here that I wanted to talk about. So I'm going to play that song again, that Blame Game song, because it sets everything up. Pay attention to the renames I gave to the characters here. I can't for the life of me remember their real names, so I decided to give them new names here. And if you like this song, remember it'll be on Bounding Radio. Now, again, this is a little break. Go get a sandwich. You know, if you don't want to watch, go ahead, get a sandwich, come back. We'll be talking about what happened with this lead designer and how she just went on a full meltdown on this poor guy that redesigned one of her characters. Or I assume it's a guy.
Saying it's not on you. 8 years down the drain, but you acting like it's on. Yeah, you wanna deflect when the heat's on. Wanna take a lady play gamers like a pawn. You built the design, now it's crashing down. What's respect, lost the crowd. You could've fought, you could've owned it. Instead you ran and left it broken. Now you hide and you take the heat, but don't pretend it's on repeat. Why'd you have to go make it so complicated? You act like it's their fault when it's your choices that faded. You could have stood tall, but you played the blame game. Now everyone sees through your shame. But why'd you make it so complicated?
Yeah. I don't know. Unwed Asian Auntie is kind of my low-key favorite, but, you know, we'll see. But we have Art Attack X here, Sean, and he has a redesign of Imari. This is the one that looks like an oven, in my opinion, the oven-like character. This is Imari, and as you can see, Sean did a great job redesigning this character and making her appealing. There's a little too much Overwatch here, but they were trying to clone Overwatch anyway, so who cares? But yeah, she is definitely better looking. You see, this is the original over here. This is what I call a stove. Where I come from in Maine, There are people that still use these wood fire stoves, and they're fairly large. They're bigger than a computer desk, and they sit a little higher too. And you cook on top of them. You can bake bread in them, cook turkeys in them, and they are just you stick a whole log of wood in that son of a bastard, and just put it in there, and that's what she looks like. It looks like somebody built her armor out of one of those old wood fire ovens. That's this monstrosity over here. I'm wiggling the mouse over, but here's the redesign that triggered a very intense response from the lead designer, Amanda Eifer. Now, I have a screenshot here that I forgot to bring up during the break there. And we're so professional here at Bounding. We run a very professional ship here. We're all above board. Everything's cool. We know what we're doing. So yeah, she's gone protected. This is the lead designer, Amanda Eifer, and her account. She's currently protected. She doesn't use AI, and she doesn't use NFTs. So that's very good. And she's gonna block all the bad faith actors and weirdos, whatever that means. And yeah. But we'll get into what she has to say here. I need a quick drink, and that's enough of that. So here is the gigantic complaint she had in response to Sean Attack's redesign of the character. I was going to DM you after seeing this, but this site makes me pay to do that. So at the risk of getting dogpiled, I'm just going to say this here. A lot affected the art side of Concord, including design by committee, failure of some leadership to listen to the art team, etc. The character concept art team, including myself, she's the lead designer, is going through an extremely difficult time emotionally. Whoa. Do we need to put up like a trigger warning here? Is everybody doing all right? Are you okay? How are we doing out there? You doing good? Okay, we'll go forward. And some of the team no longer want to work in games, design characters, or even do art anymore after this. Because of this, posts like yours, though understandable, are unfortunately ill-timed. None of us know which way the wind will blow. With the studio, we're worried, sick, and terrified of the future. Not only that, but we've been shouldering the brunt of the emotional labor as executives, directors dodge most of the blame. Those blame dodgers, can you believe this? Executives dodging the blame. Heavens. Behind the scenes, all of this talk about Concord and character designs, people's livelihoods are at risk. And there are very real financial consequences that might hurt us even more. Guys, there's real consequences that might hurt them more. It might hurt them more than losing $200 million on a game that they took 8 years to put out that lasted less than 2 weeks. There might be worse financial consequences than that. That's just what I could say from our point of view. I'm not saying change course or anything. Us artists being able to use social media to promote our work and get more jobs. After that diatribe, I don't think that's going to happen. But I am saying we see this, and it does absolutely affect us since we just got our teeth kicked in. Oh, this poor creature. This poor creature. Can you believe that she had to suffer through people not liking her kooky character designs? Can you believe it? It's painful to see another human being suffer like this, having to deal with these horrible designs they created not being enjoyed by the public. critique, in other words, you know. You know, you want to know what this person gets up to, right? Look no further as soon as this loads. This is going to take a minute to load just to hurt my feelings. Yep, it's going to take a minute to load. There we go. So this artist for Concord did this to Ray and O.R.C.A. So this is her redesign of Ray and O.R.C.A. But it was executive's fault why the characters in Overwatch, goodness, in Concord, the Overwatch ripoff, it's not her fault. It's the executive's fault why the characters in Concord look bad. And meanwhile, this is a Korean recreation of O.R.C.A. and Ray, and wouldn't you know, it's very correct. But over here, here's Amanda's. Whoops. There's Amanda's. And you remember she went into protected mode, right? Now we're going to show you some fan art, right? We're going to show you some fan art here of, I wouldn't say fan art, let's say redesigns, as soon as my bookmarks load again. It's very nice of them to do that. So there were some people who decided to redesign the Concord characters for free. So we have Meth Elf. You know, we saw Meth Elf at the beginning here. You remember Meth Elf? Sporting a nice, tattered, worn out chrome shirt just to mock my opinions earlier, and for whatever reason her pants are burned off. Sure, why not? But then someone redesigned this character, and wow, all of a sudden they look interesting. They look like they have a story to tell, and they don't look like an idiot meth addict walking around with a gun. Wow. Isn't that an interesting, like, very quickety-doo-dah thing to do, hmm? This person decided to be, like, a little bit more direct with their redesigns. This is One-Off. He's a giant vacuum cleaner, but the use of his power looks like he's shooting raw sewage into your face. For whatever reason, they decided a vacuum cleaner with, like, ultra-sucking power should look like a brown stream. And for whatever reason, it doesn't look like it's going toward the gun. It looks like it's coming from the gun. So you're just being pelted in the face by brown sewage from whatever that character is. But I like Imari, kind of embrace the old Blastoise body style here. And good old Star Child just kind of over the whole situation. Kind of done with it. Like I said, they did a very simplistic redesign with this one. And then someone decided to go ahead and redesign Stabber Lang, as I call her. You remember Stabber Lang? Someone decided to go ahead and redesign that character, and I think they did a good job. She looks a lot more feminine, and the use of like an energy projection knife kind of looks a lot more interesting than just having regular old, I don't know, box cutters, I guess, is what they were trying to do. Like I said, simplistic designs kind of rule the day, but I prefer Ape, Devil, Starchild over the original Starchild that just got a big forehead and he's very angry about something. But angry. But I like Ape Starchild better than I like whatever the regular version was that had like diamond skin and some kind of, I don't know, personal opinions about politics. Anyway. Then we had Ruka, whatever her name was. And this is the one that I called Rejected Fortniter, because it looks like a Fortnite character that just kind of just gave up on. And she's like wearing, you know how they made those old prosthetics? Remember the old prosthetics that had like those weird attempts at flesh color and were all like rubber coated, so they look intensely fake? Looks like her whole body's made out of that, you know? And then for whatever reason, they gave her a 4-release shoulder-mounted rocket launcher? And the redesign looks way better, as always, you know? I want to know why she's got toasters on her shoulders. That's pretty cool. It's 3, though, so what are you going to make with 3? What? A Big Mac? Do you make like a Big Mac with that? Does she attack with Big Macs? Is it a Big Mac attack? It's even cooler than whatever the original came up with. So we have another one here. We have Birdmonger stepping in to redesign. I believe he's like Lazo, whatever, Lizard Man. And I am immediately more interested in this Lizard Man than I was previously. And this is the kind of thing that I'm talking about. It's not hard to do these characters any kind of justice. It's not difficult to make them compelling. I mean, this is a little overdone, right? Where you got her butt cheeks on display. You know, I don't know about you, but I don't need that in a game. I don't hate it, but I don't need like a special attention to the butt. I made fun of all the Bayonetta butt jokes and stuff like that. You know, whatever. But even this is a superior design to the original O.R.C.A that we got. That was the character, the rejected Fortniter we were talking about here. And it's ridiculous that this character designer from Concord insisted that they weren't to blame for this. We had the unwed Asian auntie, like I talked about, you know, and look at that. Just a little bit of booba. A little bit of booba makes that character a bit more tolerable, doesn't it? Yeah, Gorilla Child. That's a good one. Gorilla Child. Bazooka Mugas. That's right. Bazooka Mugas. It's very true. It looks like a default character. That's true. Yeah, it looks like a default character. Obviously, she fires toast with butter slattered on it. That's true. Yep, toasted bread. You bet. Yeah, have a good day, Leap. Maybe thanks for joining us. We do this in the morning, so if you want to drop by and check us out, we'll be out here talking about it for sure. For sure. And I think there's another one left. Another design left down here. Yeah, they went back with Stabber Lang here. And again, a little bit of booba. I don't know about like the emphasis on like, here's the vagina. You know, I don't know about that, but like, I guess she throws magic wands, maybe? I don't know. But this is definitely superior to Nerf jacket, you know, Stabber Lang that they had coming from the original, like, official designs. And, well, again, they did another Stabber Lang redesign here. And I like the colored blades. That's a very Valorant touch. They were trying to rip off Valorant 2, so... Not Valorant 2 as in, like, Valorant also. They were trying to rip that off as well. And, yeah, it's I don't know. I think these designs are superior to what the official was. And apparently this person, the designer, was very, very upset that someone would do this to their work, especially when they're in such a time of pain, that their 8 years of effort didn't turn out half as interesting as this sketch that somebody did as a warm-up. It's a magical time to be alive, guys. It's a magical time to be alive. You know, we suffered through that ugly stuff. We suffered through that. So I want to show you guys something for Horizon Zero Dawn. I'm a fan of it. I love Alloy. I think she's a fantastic character. One of the very few gingers in gaming that actually does something with herself, and I really appreciate that about her. And she's also really sassy. The original Alloy, not the one in Forbidden West. The original Alloy. And so there's a new mod now. It's called the Guardian Armor, and it tweaks Alloy's anatomy a little bit and gives her a new haircut, creating you know an appealing design. And I like it. I think it's fun. It leans more into the Native American look, which is what you know Alloy's original design was sort of inspired by. And so it leans a little harder into it. It gives her a kind of a cool rib cut bomber jacket. But, you know, I'm not going to lie. I just said I don't care about butts, but I kind of do. I kind of do. And so I'm glad that they equipped Aloy with a dumpy, to borrow the Zoomer lingo that is so popular now in Dragon Ball Z Sparkling Zero. She got that dumpy. That's right. She got that dumpy. What do you guys think, though? What do you guys think about that? Yeah, the Shrek version is really bad. Yep. I really don't like Ham Planet Aloy either. I really don't like that, but this is cool. I think this was a really smart idea to do this. And again, like modders rule the day. Who's saving video games? Really? Modders. Modders. If you're a modder out there, thank you for saving video games. Because without you, this industry, this whole hobby, this whole lifestyle, if you prefer, would have gone down the drain years ago. That just because of modders doing stuff like this, games are able to survive. They get a new life brought to them. And in all honesty, correct the mistakes of the developer, you know? So we have Minkata Hizuro says, Aloy will go on weight loss journey like Nikocado. That's true. That's true. Hopefully she doesn't give those weird Joker speeches like he did, though. That would be kind of weird. But Nina says, looks good. Plus, I never played Horizon, but heard Forbidden West ruined her completely. It absolutely did. And like the quippy nature of her that was kind of Spider-Man-like, that she was just dealing with the situation by talking over it, you know? Like how Spider-Man handles, intense situations. He just talks away his fear. He makes fun of the thing that he's afraid of. And that's how she was operating. But then in Forbidden West, she was just making fun of everybody that didn't agree with her. And that was great. Who doesn't love that in a protagonist? Totoman666 says, we worked on this 8 years. Respect our... Don't you dare redesign our art. Only we have authority to redesign and desexualize sexy women in comics and pesky Asian manga. That's exactly how they feel about this. That's exactly how they feel about it. Not only desexualize, but also change the race of these characters as well. You've seen that with like the Genshin Impact kids freaking out over skin tones. It's amazing. But where did it go? There we go. So now we have this fun thing. This is another thing we talked about at the top of the show. Put it in the description. The Star Wars Outlaws lead actress claims video game industry tends to have a lot of limitations and misogyny and kind of in and out politics of who can be a part of it and who you want to play as. This is stupid. You know it is. It's the usual, it's the usual excuse of there's nothing wrong with the game. There's everything wrong with the people talking about the game. It's the usual leftist excuse of there's nothing wrong with the problem. The problem is the people talking about the problem. If the people talking about the problem would shut up, there wouldn't be a problem. And that's what her excuse is here. So again, I remind you, people talk about, oh, wow, this actress should sue them for destroying her face and making her look like, that guy from the Warriors movie. And no, she doesn't think like that. She doesn't agree with you on that. She thinks this is all great. This is all necessary. And it's great to desexualize women. She herself doesn't mind having this done to her in the video game because it's not her in her mind. She's striking against the patriarchy. Meanwhile, she'll go out and put all this makeup on, make herself look real nice to go out to Starbucks. It makes perfect sense if you're brain damaged. Yeah, right. No, it doesn't. It does not make sense. You're absolutely right. It has nothing to do with them. It has nothing to do with these qualifiers. It has everything to do with the game being terrible. I said before when we were talking about Star Wars Outlaws that this looks like a game that pre-existed the Star Wars aesthetic that was slapped on it. Like, I think that Ubisoft had an Italian Job game about some girl that was the daughter of the main character in Italian Job, and they had built like 3/4 of the game and then got bored with it, or the market fell out on that. And so they decided to just mothball it. And then so many years later, Disney walked through and was like, hey, yo, we got some Disney money for you. Let's make a Star Wars game. And that's what they did. They just strapped this, it's hard to say it's Star Wars aesthetic because it just kind of looks like a children's birthday party, Star Wars. Like there's stormtroopers there and you go, ooh, stormtroopers. And there's Star Wars-y kind of ships there, and you go, ooh, Star Wars. And then there's like the Star Wars blaster sounds, and you go, ooh, Star Wars. That's about it, though. It doesn't really do anything else Star Wars-y. The rest of the time, it kind of feels like space Fallout. Not even really that, it feels just kind of numb. You saw the gameplay where like a stormtrooper has to literally enter your hitbox as this delightful character to notice you. The stormtrooper has to enter your hitbox. You can be shooting him in the face, and he still has to step into your hitbox in order to do the Metal Gear Solid thing with the exclamation point where he notices you. The game is journo mode. It's journalist mode, like from the get. As soon as you press start, you are in journalist mode. That's default. I don't even think there's a hard mode for this game. If there is, you probably fall right through the map anyway. We had Terrorizer and Nogla talking about this, one of their meme videos that came out recently. They let it slip that Ubisoft demands that whenever they see an error, you know, an issue, that they say this is a work in progress build, that they're not allowed, and they have to move away from it immediately. They have to cut it out of the video if they can. You know, if they're streaming it, they have to immediately vacate it. And that's how it's in order to have an Ubisoft contract, in order to get paid by them. I know that Wildcat and Basically I Do Work and H2O Delirious were playing Concord. They were paid to play Concord, and even they couldn't take it seriously in their demo. In their paid sponsorship, they couldn't take it seriously. You know? And these are channels that have like 20 million subscribers, guys. These aren't just random gamer channels. These are like 8 million subscribers, 10 million subscribers, 4 million. Pretty big channels as far as like gaming, like strictly gaming channels go. And they couldn't save Concord's numbers. You know, even those videos about that sponsored videos on their channels, even those ones have the lowest views in the recent months. Not even people wanted to watch them to like see what goofy things happened in the game. They just completely saw Concord. They're like, nope. I'll go watch one of your older videos first. We have Henry Thrun here. Welcome aboard. Welcome aboard. And yeah. Yeah, Nina knows. Also, Terrorizer lost an Ubisoft contract because Vanos said something during their Uno session why he doesn't do get sponsors from Ubisoft. Yeah, the other thing was Wildcat got him canceled from another company. I think it was Activision or EA because he said "suck my dick" during the demo, and that got Brian canceled. So you got to remember, like, this is the thing that I tell people that want to get into like doing the Let's Plays and stuff like that. I say you need to step out and immediately decide if you're going to take sponsors. Do that now, so you're not disappointing anybody later on. You go profess yourself to be a rebel, to be against the system, and then you accept the sponsorship. Well, the people that built you up, the people that are your foundation, they're going to go away real fast. And that's what I tell people about what we're doing here with Bounding and talking about all the gaming stuff. Like, if we get into playing games and stuff like that, we do Let's Plays on this channel or maybe a spin-off channel, we need to remember that we don't take sponsorships. There's no way you can remain a critic or someone that is trusted in critique of games or praise of them even if you're accepting money to say nice things about them. These guys don't need that. They're not information sources. They make clips and they put funny music behind it and they do voice acting. So they're not engaged in actually marketing the game or marketing themselves as an authority on this stuff. They just want funny clips out of it to put together into a 10-minute, 20-minute video. So that's not important to them. But as like people that are coming up, they need to remember this because it's going to be on people's minds going forward. Because again, the woke mind virus is moving into video games. It's done with Hollywood. It's sucked the life out of Hollywood. It's over with Hollywood. You can feel it. There's no life left in Hollywood. They're moving on to video games now. And they're going to put a lot of pressure on video games. They have already. There's going to be even more pressure on video games. And that's why it's important now to put the line in the sand to say, no, I'm not going to take corporate money. If you want to have us play the game, let us do an honest review of it. Do not. Just give us the review key. And we will go in and play it, and we will tell you if it sucks or not. We will post a video about it, and you will deal with those consequences. Otherwise, don't give us the review key. It's that simple. Matthew Gaudette says, I think for being so open with sponsorships, though, it proved Disney's access media shills aren't a myth. Well, we did. We saw that. That Twitch guy exposed how, the YouTuber exposed how the Twitch streamers were being brought from Germany to Galaxy's Edge, and they were to play the Star Wars game, the Outlaws game, for a little while. Then they go play in Disneyland for a little while. They get free hotel, free food, free transportation, and then like 2 days to themselves while they're there for like a 5-day, 6-day excursion, 2-day excursion, whatever. So it's amazing to me. It's amazing to me that Disney spent all that money, that Ubisoft spent all that money as well. And then this game is most likely going to continue to underperform and be, like Concord, another lackluster, short-run thing that people either meme to death or forget about. I mean, I hope they forget about it, honestly. I hope they forget about it in the way that people forget about like a tragedy. You remember it happened, but you just don't, isn't living in your mind all the time. You remember that Ubisoft had this horrible screw up and that they can't be trusted, but you just kind of forget the trauma of Star Wars Outlaws, I guess, the drama of it. I don't know. We have Totemen666, and he says, bounding into comics, Google Critical Art 64 redesigned Concord characters. Okay, we'll check that out. We'll probably stick some of that into the video a little later today about this. So, yeah, thank you for that. Thank you for the heads up. And Matthew Godet says, Justice League game destroyed Rockstar. I would never buy another one of their games, and I love Arkham Asylum and City. Yeah, Rockstar managed to just completely obliterate any authority that they had. You know, just like Ubisoft. Ubisoft, I think, in like 4 games has managed to obliterate anybody's interest in their platform, and one of those games hasn't released yet with Assassin's Creed Shadows. So, and I don't know how you recover from that. I really don't. I don't know how you repair your integrity because it's going to take more than putting out like a solid shooter game. It's going to take more than putting out a solid horror game, a solid hero game. You've got a long road back to earning people's trust. Like Astrobot isn't going to fix people's like, I guess, hatred of Sony. It's justified now. They screwed with Helldivers. They screwed with Stellar Blade. They continue to screw with the development of just about everything underneath them. So, I don't know. You're dealing that with Capcom, Konami now, Nintendo America has at least embraced the DEI straight on. I don't know about Japan yet. They haven't made any announcements. Square Enix, of course, is head on into it. So, I'm not sure what we're in for, but it's going to get really not cool. That's for sure. It's going to get really not cool. And it's going to continue to swallow up game studios like Rocksteady. Firewalk won't survive this. I don't know how Firewalk survives Concord. It lost $200 million on this Concord thing. Sony's involved in that investment too, but how do you trust Firewalk to produce anything after this? You don't. They're done. They got one major shot and that was it. And they screwed it up so bad. It's not anybody else's fault. It's not your fault, my fault for not playing it. They just produced something that's pretty disgusting, pretty annoying. There's a character there that looks like a melted Bionicle. And they thought that would sell. They thought that would compete with Overwatch and Valorant. Very bizarre. It's very bizarre. We have the Grateful Gamer, and he says, Sweet Baby Rocksteady, disrespectful Kevin Conroy's legacy too. Yeah, disrespected it. Yeah, it's true. They assassinated Batman right there, executed him like a dog in the streets, just like that. That was, I think it was Kevin Conroy's second to last speaking role as Batman. And that's what they did to him. He doesn't get a hero's end. He's sat down, he's quipping like a villain. He gets shot in the head by Harley Quinn. That's what they think of superheroes. You know, that's a state we're in. I don't know if you noticed that, but your brain did, right? That's what modern storytelling is for superheroes. Is the villains have the real story. The villains are the ones that are in the right. The villains just kill the heroes, where the heroes would try to redeem and save the villains' lives, bring them back from Brainiac's control. But that's where we're at. Heroism is something that completely is either foreign or poisonous to what these devs are up to. You see that with Firewalk. Not a single one of the Concord characters, I want to call it Overwatch, not a single one of those Concord characters looks like a hero. They look like background characters at best, but none of them look like a hero. Not a one. They're just random background characters, maybe. Stuff you get in gacha pods. The Grateful Gamer says, BlackRock definitely has its tendrils in Japan already. Yeah, they announced about 6 months ago that they were shifting their focus from the US market to the Japanese market. So it's over, you know, that you can't have the full focus of the world's largest investment hedge fund and not suffer. We suffered, and we're a great deal more difficult than the Japanese, let's put it that way. So Yeah, and Rockstar will wokeify GTA. Well, they said that GTA 6 was going to be delayed another year. So you have that to look forward to, fellas, that Rockstar is pushing that to 2026 now, not just 2025. And I have a feeling that they looked at the smashing success of Concord and decided we need to fix some stuff. So that set them back. They also got shut down by a musician. They wanted to use a song from this person, and they wanted a one-time fee and pay no royalties to them. And it's amazing, these corporations, they hire people to say, like, musicians need rights, we need to stop piracy, blah, 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 and then they go out and make deals like this. On a game that stands to make at least $1 billion, and it's in the run of its lifetime, they wanted to pay this guy, like, just a couple thousand. It's amazing. Blows my mind. Yep. The victimhood villains. Yep. That's what they are. The VVs. The VVs. Concord characters would be great as mini bosses to kill in a Cyberpunk or Bioshock. Yeah, they do. They do kind of look like villains that you'd meet in like a Cyberpunk game. Some weird chemical techno mutants, space alien things. Yeah. Oh, actually, you know what? They kind of look like monsters that Omni-Man and Invincible would be murdering. Like they'd be encountering some, space force coming to Earth to ask for help, and then they just obliterate them in that alternate universe where Invincible's evil. Yeah. I'm not for that kind of violence. I don't like that. But when it comes to the Concord characters, I just can't. My brain immediately goes to delete. So, but there we go. That's what we have for today for Cider Talk. That's what we're on the horn about, centered on me now. What's up? But that's what we're talking about today. As I said, you heard Blame Game a little earlier. That's the song that'll be uploaded to Bounding Radio on this coming Saturday. If you want to hear it again in another production, you'll be listening to it in the later video about the Concord designer melting down. And you see some of that fan art from Critical Art 64, that Totomen brought up to us. So until next time, folks, I hope you have a good day out there, and make sure that, like it was mentioned earlier, make sure to get out there, eat healthy, get a workout, and don't blame other people for your melted bionicles, I guess. Good luck out there.
Wake up with a smile, Mr. Cider's on the dial. Won't cheer all day, he's the one who makes it sway.
Hits the air with style, morning radio wild. Cider's voice so clear, fills the morning with good cheer.
Mr. Cider,
Good morning, good morning.
start your day with joy dawning. Wake up now, don't be late. Sun is rising, feeling great.
Coffee brews and toast is warm. Cider's voice is the daily norm. Smooth and sweet like apple pie. Lifts us up and makes us fly.
Radio waves in the air, Mr. Cider always there. Tunes that make us dance around, Mr. C bringing that sound.